Welcome to the Shelter FootyCast live from the underground bunker BackChat Studios under the deserts of sands of Western Australia. I'm Simon Beaumont. Might have made that up. Mark Reddings is with us. G'day, Skeet.
Yes, Goey's still missing in action in Belgium, but we believe that he is still with us in spirit, if not physically, and hopefully he'll make it back safely next week. But we've got a heap to talk about today. The footy finals, it felt like last weekend, it was, you're hanging out, maybe cutting the lawn or doing household duties that you tend to avoid, but you had no place to hide.
Very exciting. It's very exciting. I'm really excited about the finals. I always am. Thornley should be excited as well, because I think the Southern River Band play at the Lakers Tavern this weekend on finals weekend, so that's equally as exciting.
Did you enjoy Monday night?
Yes.
The Brownlow was amazing, wasn't it?
It was great, yeah. Sitting there with all my friends, bought myself a packet of chips, and sat back.
For those who don't know, Bowie was under the strong impression that the Brownlow medal was to be held the Monday just gone, so he's gone early, but that's fine.
Details are not my thing, Skeet. You know that. Every Monday and Thursday, the FootyCast, the Shelter FootyCast, does a preview of what's to come and a review of what has been. A little bit of a West Australian theme. Obviously, this weekend, massive focus on the Fremantle Footy Club. I don't think you'll be able to get a seat at that big tavern outside the ground this weekend.
Massive.
Huge.
Sellout game. So it's huge, isn't it? It's going to be terrific. And the biggest crowd the Dockers have ever pulled. Obviously, they haven't had a final at Optus before. So, looking forward to it.
Very, very exciting indeed. Everything you need to know for every matchup. We'll go through all the finals, talk about, some of the big stories of the week. Here's the socials, at Shelter FootyCast, FootyCast at shelterbrewing.com.au. Drink a little Shelter every day if you can, a little palate cleanser. YouTube BackChat Shelter FootyCast, and Shelter down in Busselton.
Great spot. And
beautiful spot.
Like today, being a Thursday, just can imagine how beautiful it would be down there.
Yeah.
That jetty and everything that goes with it. It's a great spot, and the boys and the girls have done a terrific job in getting that up to speed.
Yeah, they sure have. So some of the big moments of what we've seen already this round, as we head into the four finals, story that's just made the headlines in the last 24, 48 hours is Dustin Martin.
Yep.
Has gone out to South Melbourne, where Kittens is. The Kittens
is that the
Gentlemen's
venue?
Club.
Is that the venue? Okay. Yep.
Yeah. It's. Have you ever been there, Mark?
I'll be honest. I have not been there. I've been to Melbourne many times, but my venues of choice in Melbourne primarily to go and have a drink and listen to some music.
Young and Jackson's?
Maybe a bit more upmarket than that. There's a place called Garden State Hotel, Little Flinders. So there's a couple of bars that you can get to that are very, very good. Or alternatively, which I'm doing in a couple of months, going back to a big round grass track which has horses running around it. That's what I call going to the races and having fun. But let's go back to Dustin Martin. Now, apparently this was about 5 years ago, because you can tell he looks significantly younger. So they reckon some time ago, and the vision does appear to show him grabbing the breasts of a woman now, which is a serious misdemeanor in society. But to come out now, that curiously the timing of it for me is unusual.
Yeah, it is. It is. There are a lot of gentlemen's clubs in Melbourne, and that's probably one of the most famous or most popular, from what people tell me.
Have you been there?
I have.
Okay.
I was working for the national broadcaster at the time, and I was doing a story.
Not really ABC behaviour though.
I was doing a story. I was doing my research.
And how did the night end up for you?
Yeah, pretty good. I got a little distracted at some point, and I may have lost my wallet, but it was returned to me. So that's it's sort of a bit like that Brownlow thing. Sometimes I get a little distracted on detail.
Yeah, the word I heard was that you left your wallet behind, and also your dignity, which can happen with you when you go to Kittens. But it is now, again, I have heard reliably, I say this hand on heart, that Kittens is a place where that does the type of behaviour happen. Yeah, but not just that. There is touchy-feely elements of it.
Yes, there are, and look, there are women who go as punters as well. It's a pretty rambunctious sort of joint. Should he be sanctioned heading into this weekend? Hasn't played for 2 months for Richmond. The story doing the rounds. The timing is amazing. Who took the video? Who released it?
There's nothing in context with it. So look, I've got daughters. You have as well.
Yeah,
I am absolutely 100% for protecting women's rights and also
consent, respect,
all of that.
Yep,
totally. So this to me doesn't seem to enter that territory. I mean, when he was caught in the Japanese restaurant and the chopsticks, that's bad. When you commit a crime in that front, there hasn't been an allegation or a complaint, I believe, from the lady concerned. Whether it's the right sort of behaviour, that's up for debate. But I don't think it's worth sanctioning so many years down the track. And Dusty, I think, has just been potted here by someone who wanted to.
Someone. The AFL are investigating. That's my understanding, and they'll look at it, I guess. But it is a strip club. It is a gentleman's club.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, if that's a bar, well, let's put it this way. Let's compare this in brief to Jordan De Goey, who copped a lot of grief over what happened. I think it was Hotel Mexicola in Bali, and what he was doing with his friend, his female friend, which she had no complaint about it, but it was the look of how he was treating a woman. That will be maybe the same argument that is put in play here. But again, it is a gentleman's club, a strip club, call it what you want. So does that change the parameters? Does that change how we view this? I mean, maybe I'm being too dismissive of it.
Forgiving. Well, no, I think that you're right. The context is that's where he was. It was he wouldn't have been the first bloke or woman in that place
to have done that,
who might have done something like that. So I hope he plays on the weekend.
Oh, he'll play tonight. There's no question he'll play. Yeah. It's just does he deserve to be hauled over the coals because of this? I don't think so. But again, I'm sure there'll be some out there that will want to go, put the gun to the head of Dusty, and that's not the way you treat women, which, I get it, but I don't see in this case. It seems a very strange time for it to come out, and again, love to know the context or more of it.
I'll tell you who has been hauled over the coals, and that's Peter Laddams with his front-on contact on Taiwo Woden over the weekend in a VFL match. On the boundary, skeet, ball dead, runs straight through a bloke a lot smaller than him. Seemed like the intent was there, and the obviously the head-high contact and the damage was done, hey?
Yeah, Peter, of course, in the Sydney Swans lineup, of course, they're playing a qualifying final, so that'll be huge for him. And Taiwo Woden's, of course, the son of Shane, and he ended up getting drafted across to the East Coast. So, not a nice moment for Peter or for Taj. Let's hope, for anyone's sake, let's hope Peter doesn't miss out on the possibility of a grand final if indeed he qualifies and Swans qualify and he's in the mix for selection. So that's huge. But also, the two big names out for Saturday night, Fremantle and the Bulldogs. It's going to be massive with Nat Fyfe and Tom Liberatore. And I think most of us believe that the Nats contribution this year, I think 7 games, hasn't played a lot of footy this year at all. So he's lost. The Dockers have learnt to win without him. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. And if we are looking at a bit of precipitation on Saturday night, and Libba, the midfield beast, doesn't mind a chirp, doesn't mind a Barney or a Donnybrook. He's a huge loss.
Yeah, he's great contested ball winner, clearances. So he's a bigger loss for the Bulldogs than Fyfe is for Fremantle, if you can believe that. I mean, you said that 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, you're going, what are you talking about? But this is just the way both clubs have evolved. Libba's midfield work outstanding. He'd be, along with McRae, he'd be top 2 or 3 in the voting for their best and fairest. So that's not to say that the absence of Fyfe, and we feel sorry for him because he's a champion, but his body. And the question marks now too. One, where does he end up playing next year, and does he go on next year, which I think he will. But it's a bit like the Luke Shuey situation. How much longevity does he have, given the constant issues he's had, and does he still stay captain in 2023?
Yeah, and when you look at his, he's got that massive athletic rig, but every bit of his rig has been banged up at some point, hasn't it? So it's shoulders, it's groin, it's sciatica, it's his hamstrings, it's his lower back. So he's a collision player, as we know, but he's been banged up everywhere and for different reasons, hasn't he? So the intangible with Liberatore and Fyfe going out, Skeet, whose leadership on the field is more important? So Bontempelli's obviously the skipper.
Yep.
Fyfe is the skipper of Freo, but who's the biggest leader on the ground when the whips are cracking?
Well, for Fremantle, because they've had that ability to share the workload, and Alex Pearce will be the captain on Saturday night. We know David Mundy just because of the way he goes about it. And it's the young guys. It's Andrew Brayshaw who is potentially the next captain. And Caleb Sarong, I wouldn't rule him out as a smoky either, because they're young players that could well be the next 10 years of Fremantle. They speak well. They look so invested in the club that they're, from a Fremantle perspective, who they'll look to. Libba, for the Bulldogs, I mean, you're right. It's Bontempelli who's the gun, and he has to be the barometer for them, because if he doesn't play well on Saturday night, I can't see the Bulldogs winning. I just don't think they've got, with Libba not there, I'm just not sure that their defence, as flaky as the forward line for Fremantle has been at times this year, I find it hard to see how they're going to kick a winning score against a Dockers defence. It's been so good all year.
Yeah, we'll get to dig down on the detail of the clash in just a little while. I heard Luke Ryan say on radio this morning, said that he's very funny on the field, Libbo. He's
chirps.
Yeah, chirps, and his sledges are pretty funny, which sounds and looks about right, given he's got a
tattoo.
A Simpsons tattoo.
Yeah, that's an unusual one, isn't it?
Yeah.
That sounds like a tattoo you get up in Bali.
Yeah.
End of season trip when you've gone to La Favela and then La Mexicola, and then it's 4 a.m. or somewhere you find some bloke and you think, yeah, this sounds like a good idea.
I think Will Schofield will come back from Belgium with a tattoo.
He also might come back with divorce papers from his missus if something like that ends up on his body.
On a lighter note, Mason Cox, the gigantic Texan, who I think looks like Michael Phelps with his goggles on in the swimming pool.
You said it before, yeah.
His gigs, someo's stolen his glasses.
His goggles. Well, they're quite specific, aren't they? I mean, to him?
Yes, they are. You'd be stealing them as a laugh or a souvenir. You're not wearing them.
No, and can you sell them on eBay? I'm not sure what the go is with that. That's, look... put it this way: when you think of the finals, I think of for Mason Cox, Richmond in 2018. They were Mason Coxed because they were beaten by a bloke that has had some critics and he's still learning the game at that stage. He ended up being a match winner, a preliminary final, but now, of course, his eyesight has got to a point where he's needing some assistance, and apparently contacts don't cut the mustard. Not sure if you wear glasses, but the goggles for him do the job. They look absolutely ridiculous from the outside, but they work for him, and that's all that matters.
His turnaround in form seems to have coincided with the glasses, and he's just playing better. I mean, the old-fashioned word skeet back in our day, log. Sometimes he looks like a bit of a log, doesn't he?
He does,
but he's been a lot more agile this year, a lot more mobile.
Tell you what, he kicked an important goal against Carlton late in the piece in the last quarter as they made their comeback. So, no, he's going to be huge for them on Saturday night or Saturday afternoon. But, it's at the moment, I wonder how quick it is to get those types of goggles. Surely he's got 3 or 4 up his sleeve.
Yeah. Well, there's a pharmacy just near here, just near the underground bunker, the BackChat bunker, where I buy my glasses, and they're 3 for $9.
Serious?
So I think his will be worth a little bit more.
Is that okay? You've really gone cheap on the spectacles, haven't you?
Yeah, just a bit like my wallet. Every now and then I lose my glasses. Let's look at Fremantle Western Bulldogs. I remember you saying your game of the round is Geelong Collingwood, but this is my game of the round.
Why so?
Well, just the expectation. You know, you can feel it. You can feel it in our town. I think Fremantle Western Bulldogs. Really looking forward to it. Yeah,
absolutely. And the Dockers, it's been a 7-year wait. Their fans, they're impatient. And look, that's fair enough. They haven't had any real success. Going back to 2013, they made a grand final. But they are just like a sleeping giant in this town. If they can really have some sustained success, and they get their chance. Round 21, they beat the Dogs by 17 points. It was a pretty comprehensive win on the basis of they just managed to score against the Dogs' defence, which has been pretty poor. And look, it is a case of the Bulldogs just scraping into the finals, isn't it? Because the lowest percentage gap between 8th and 9th ever, they've got there by that much. But the history books say that 2016 they did come from a fair way back to grab a flag. So that's why there's this little bit of question mark as to how good they can be at the crunch.
Good coach, Luke Beveridge, and he'll be planning something you would have thought. I think the thing about Fremantle this year, Skeet, is the brand of footy, the way they move the ball when they're going. Their best footy is as good as anyone's, isn't it?
No doubt about that. And in some ways, I think even though Optus has got the support and they know the ground, I actually believe Marvel Stadium's where they play their best footy because of that dry element, and it's quick and it's a fast deck. So unfortunately that's not the case. Unfortunately also Will Schofield was trying to get a stall at the front of Optus on Saturday night to try and get rid of some stock for Flagmantle. That has been denied by the AFL and by the Dockers, the Dockers think it's going to be obviously a bit of a spectre and a bit of a jinx on the team heading into the match. But so Scully's going to have to you might see him set up at Gloucester Park if he gets a couple of vendors to work their magic there. But Flagmantle's still alive. Just remember that.
And just as an aside, I was riding my push bike in a real remote part of Perth the other day, riding through some bushland, and two fellas came out of the bush.
Yeah.
2 young blokes, would have been in teenagers.
You think you're in trouble?
And they were wearing Flagmantle jumpers.
Wow.
Yeah. So they looked like they'd been fishing, and that's Scoey's demographic.
What, kids riding through the bush,
young blokes fishing.
Fair enough.
No, everyone's on flag mantle. The Bullies have the only team to have won a flag from outside the top three since 2000. And as I say, I reckon that's coaching and smarts and momentum. Not sure they've got the momentum this time.
No, you're 100%. They're not doing it this year. Bowie, I'll be quite strong. They have not got the form on the board. They haven't got, as you say, momentum. It's not sure they're playing well enough. So, and also, I do believe the teams at the top, Geelong, Melbourne, Collingwood, for instance, I just think they're a step ahead of them. So, look, they could very well beat the Dockers on Saturday night, but I still think that Rory Lobb returns to the side. Yep. If he does miss, could it be his last, could that be the end of him at Fremantle? And the next time we see him, he's wearing a Bulldogs jumper. Not sure, but he is important despite, the frustration that he causes Dockers supporters. Can kick goals. Did so against them last time out. As for Griffin Logue, also...
As Scoey says, Lobb takes a defender too.
He does, absolutely.
He takes the best defender.
Logue, don't think Taberner will play. I think most likely he'll line up for Peel on Sunday in the WAFL. That's just my gut feeling at this stage. Even with Nat Fyfe out, just not sure... Can you take a bloke in who's had some soft tissue, and you don't want to be risking him? And I think, look, if they get through with a win on Saturday night and Taberner plays, then he becomes an option for a semi-final.
Yeah. Fremantle have the luxury of some depth, some blokes who come in and out of the side. We've talked about this before. They are role players, these guys. Where does Meek play? Does Banfield? He's been very, very useful and kicked some clutch goals in the home and away. Tucker, do they play? Where do they fit in? What's their role? Skeet?
I think Banfield does his role, which is the medi-sub. And does it pretty well. He must be, it's a bit of a running joke, I'm sure, for those around the club, but he does it exactly the role that he's supposed to do. Lloyd Meek, now, I just wonder whether he's going to be at the club next year. If Jackson comes, where does that put Lloyd Meek? But I just think if there's a bit of weather around, I'm not sure I think Darcy would probably be capable of handling the ruck duties by himself, whether someone like a Griffin Logue goes into the ruck. Not sure. They'll try and avoid having to use Rory Lobb in the ruck if he's had some issues. But, playing two big men, you just don't want to go too top-heavy, I don't think. Even if it's not going to be raining per se on the night, it's going to be pretty slippery. So, just not sure Meek is going to keep his spot in the side.
Ruck duels all important. Darcy versus English should be terrific to watch. It's Aaron Norton's 100th game, the West Australian. So
he's the astronaut.
Yeah, brilliant.
He is, and he's sometimes he looks a bit banged up. He's had some knee issues this year. His goal kicking, a bit like a few around the competition, has been a bit iffy, but geez, a talent, and he'll certainly ask some questions of the Dockers' defence. And if they're to win, I think he's going to have to kick. I mean, you think of Waitman as one of their small forwards, but he's the guy that's got to kick, I think, 4 or 5 goals to really put them in the window. Yeah.
As I say, the master coach Bevo be smarting a little bit from playing on that surface. I know it was a long time ago, but smarting a little. They've still got a live mascot. The Bullies. They've still got that little bulldog.
The bulldog.
Yeah, Sid. It was Sid. The old one was called Sid, and now there's a new understudy. His name escapes me, but
speaking of pre-game, I'm told. I heard this, and this might be wrong, but. One of the stars from Frozen might be singing the national anthem. That's what was a rumour this morning.
Gemma Ricks.
Gemma Ricks, is that right?
Gemma Ricks has sung a national anthem before, Skeet. You were probably there. She sung at the Melbourne Cup before. And I know this because I know her hubby quite well.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a pretty good triathlete, and I've know him through. He's been to WA a few times. But she was the Green Witch in Wicked, and she sung the national anthem, and she is a dead set glamour and has got the pipes.
Yeah.
To live with the national anthem.
Interesting because I've seen a bit of the rundown for the pre-game, and it had Julie Anthony as the pre-game national anthem, which is on record. So I might be wrong. I might be crazy, or as Billy Joel said, whatever it is. But
you may be right. I may be crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure that she is going to be singing the national anthem, but if she does, that'll be a lovely touch.
What's the mail on who's doing the? Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding for the national anthem. You've done that before.
I have done it before.
I've done that before.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure. That'll come out in
okay.
But
do you know, or are you just pretending you don't know?
I've got no idea, but we'll see what happens on the night, I suppose.
Listeners, viewers, can we trust? Do you think we can trust Mark
Bailey Smith, by the way, hasn't trained this week.
Yeah,
he's been a bit
X Factor.
He is the X Factor, and he's a gun, but he's had his issues this year. So there's too many question marks over the Bulldogs for mine. not to say they can't win on Saturday, but long term, they're just Libba's going to miss the rest of the final series. Johannes and Crozier become available, we think. Brings us down to who wins.
Glenn Jakovic told me on the weekend, Freo by 2 or 3 goals, but it'll be in the last quarter. I think we're set for an absolute ripper. Johannesson and Crozier back in. Johannesson, big occasion player, Norm Smith medalist previously. They're two big names for Western Border. I think it's going to be tighter than people think.
I think we'll know in the first quarter. The theme of
the vibe
of the night, yeah. And so I'm tipping Fremantle. Maybe there's a bit of heart there because we'd like to see them progress as West Aussies. So yeah, going for Fremantle, but we know that it's a tough road for either of these sides because they've got to win 4 games to be the best this year, and that's always very tough.
If Freo win on Saturday night, in 9 months' time, a lot of babies will be born. It'll be that sort of, it'll be a celebration.
An elimination final.
Game. Yep. It's a big one.
So what happens if they win the GF?
Any excuse to celebrate.
I think you're entitled to have
beautiful human way.
I think you're entitled to have
women they love each other.
Bucket full of shelters after they win an elimination final. But I'm not sure you want to go and go
have
to
a
that.
baby.
No, I think you know the consequences of that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I guess that's what I'm talking about, mate.
See, here's a brief story. My wife, we moved into our house in Mount Lawley with a big mortgage. After a month, she goes, look, I'm going to go off the pill because my friends take 2 or 3 years to get pregnant. I went, worry. Just completely went over my head what she's talking about.
Yep.
Within a month, she was pregnant, not with 1, but with 2.
Yeah.
So I had twins coming my way. So just be careful what you wish for when it comes, and be careful how obviously I've got some fertile boys down there. So it is a very, very interesting scenario. That's all I can say, Bowie.
I'm glad I brought it up. I'm actually looking forward to all the finals, including this one, because I'm a football gods believer, and I think the footy gods need to start smiling on Brisbane because they had a wretched run in finals. One out of 6?
It's been terrible
in the last 6 finals. So I'm looking forward to this one tonight at the Gabatoir. Last match-up, round 20, Richmond have beaten by 7 or 8 points, I think it was, and that was at the MCG. So this is a cracker too.
Absolutely. Devin Robertson, young WA player, as we've touched on, he comes into the lineup. So too Darcy Wilmot, who will be making his debut. And that's very unusual for a player to make a debut in a final. It's Marlon Pickett has done that type of thing in a GF, no less. But this is going to be a huge task because Ainsworth, should I say, suspended. Jared Lyons is injured and Cam Rayner is suspended. Gee, it's a huge task for Brisbane, albeit it's at home. And they've got towed up by Melbourne. They very rarely get beaten back-to-back at the Gabba. And Richmond, well, they've just built up beautifully for this. Dusty comes back into the side with about 80%, which he'll play forward, we think, most of the night. So there's a lot of concern for Brisbane's defence. It's been very leaky. Harris Andrews hasn't had the best season. Marcus Adams is ruled out for the year. So, and these sides have met a fair bit in September over the last few years. And as you say, Brisbane's record in finals at the Gabba, home and away, they've been terrific. Just by and large unbeatable. But in finals, they have not been reliable at this time of the year.
Can't wait. It's a few milestones as well as the debutant, Darcy Wilmot. That's the first debutant in a final outside of Melbourne. So well done to him. 150 for Danaher. Needs to step up. Needs to clunk a few. Kick a few goals.
He's the player that has to show something. He's had 4 finals, 2 with Essendon, 2 with Brisbane. Hasn't had a win yet.
Yeah.
But he's paid. He was drafted or sort of recruited up to the Lions to win finals. We help them win a grand final, and at this stage, you just don't trust him in big games. That might change tonight. I hope it does for Brisbane.
Who stands him for the Tigers, do you think?
Well, it's a good question because he's got that body shape. I mean, Vlosten plays outside his range. Broad can sometimes do that. I mean, Grimes is the guy they really love to use, but he's, of course, still out injured. So I would have thought one of those types, maybe Vlosten, although he might be a shade on the short side.
Yeah. Hipwood needs to step up, and Charlie Cameron needs to get on that motorbike, doesn't he, for Brizzy to have any chance. I think I think Fagan will have them galvanised. As we say, some outs with Rayner, Answorth, and Lyons, but a couple of outs, very significant outs for Richmond with Castagna was the Medi sub last week. But Shane Edwards just played his 300th.
Yeah,
that doesn't get a Guernsey.
That seems unusual, doesn't it? I'd be surprised if he doesn't play because he's one of their midfield sort of guns. And yeah, look, what has happened, even though they've lost Grimes in defence, Robbie Tarrant, of course, gets his opportunity to play in a final, which is huge for him. And look, he still might even take Joe Danaher. Also, Noah Bolter is there. So they've actually shored up their defence well. We know their midfield, not a lot of stars apart from Dusty in there, but they find a way, Richmond, to surge the ball forward. And they're not playing as well as they did in their premiership years. But, gee, as I said to Scully a few times in the lead up to the finals, you don't want to have to play them in September, and that's what the Lions have got tonight.
I think I coined my own original phrase with Scully a couple of weeks ago. I said there's a swarm and then there's a mega swarm. When Richmond are going, there's a mega swarm. You can use that if you want, Ski.
Yeah, that's great.
Scully was really... he
was it back?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't that. He didn't buy in.
Okay.
No. Melbourne versus Sydney on Friday.
Can we have our selections, though, for tonight's game?
Yes.
Who are you tipping?
I'm tipping Brisbane.
Yeah, you know what? I've tipped Brisbane in the paper today. I don't know why. It isn't. The form suggests Richmond goes up there and wins, but I just have this sense of an ambush. Mm-hmm. Now maybe we're both wrong, which is probably the case, but yeah, I'm tipping Brisbane as well, which probably goes against the grain most people. In fact, the punters have backed Richmond to continue through the final series, and in fact, I think other teams would be hoping that Brisbane win.
Yep.
If you know what I mean, who are playing in the finals, because Richmond are more ominous.
You don't want Richmond at the MCG
over
the next couple of weeks.
Absolutely.
Melbourne versus Sydney, another cracker on Friday night. Last matchup, round 12, Skeet. Melbourne were defeated by Sydney by, 12 points?
Yep.
So Sydney do match up well against the Ds. It was during that little lull for the Ds, wasn't it? But they seem to be back in business. Winner goes through the prelim, and obviously loser goes on to play the winner of Brisbane and Richmond. They come in as the reigning premiers. They've found their mojo, we think, the Ds.
Yeah, it's been a strange year for them because they had that amazing start, 10, 11 in a row, and then Fremantle knocked them off, and then they went through a really tough patch, and they've just, whether it's by luck or good management, they've come out of that little funk, and then they're playing some really good footy. As for Sydney, they've won 7 in a row. So they are the quiet achievers. They're the team that can really hurt you with their young players. You mentioned how they won at the MCG not so long ago. They have the midfield. They've got Buddy up forward. They've got the ingredients to go well. Their performances at the MCG, probably the only question mark for me, which gives me a little bit of concern for them. But, gee, they move the ball well. And
Isaac Heaney looms, doesn't he? We know they have role players like all good finals teams do. I saw some social media of Isaac Heaney out on the water yesterday, whale watching with a dog in his boat. So he's a genuine New South Wales product, Isaac Heaney, and a terrific player and could really feature. He's the sort of guy that can kick 4 in a GF and win a Norm Smith, isn't he?
And take the mark of the year all in the same game. No, he's an absolute star. The question is, where do they play him on the weekend? Yep. But looking forward to this, and it's a Friday night, so I might just jump into a couple of shelters and see where it lands on about early, but 3:30. So by bounce down, we're nice and tuned up for the game.
Have some more twins.
No way, Jose. Yeah. I got the old vasectomy happening, so that's all done and dusted, Bowie, just for what it's worth.
Just on that.
Yeah.
When you tell your workmates that you're going in for the snip.
The snip, yep.
Everyone's got a horror story, haven't they?
Yeah,
people delight in trying to terrify you about what's going to happen.
I've got to be honest, I had no issues whatsoever. Mind you, I went under... What's the one where you're completely asleep? Is that general?
Yeah,
so I had general. I didn't feel a thing. Some bloke said to me, you're weak, you should have had local.
No, I had a general,
Yeah, I'm not going to go through the pain or anything resembling...
We digress again.
But that's the vasectomy. Don't worry, just get it done. If you're worried about having twins, like I am never going to have again, I love them dearly, but I'm not going again.
One of the great feelings in the world is coming out after a general anaesthetic. And knowing that you're back and someone's going to give you lift home, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to go to work.
Well, here's a quick story. Well, after I got mine done, I was watching the cricket on the couch, and as they say, I put a bunch of frozen peas in the near the plums. The only problem was because when I went to get up off the couch after about 3 hours, compensating for that area to be protected, I actually did my back, and so it was. So my wife already thought I was a
A spud.
A spud, there's a very kind word. And then she thought, well, I'll just let you sit there and rot for the next 2 days watching cricket.
There he is. Must have been a test match if you're there.
It was. What was a test match?
3 hours. The athlete that is
we
Mark
digress.
Reddings. We do. So they'll match up well. Sydney's closed down style and ruck maul type style will match up well against it. Just got to close down that big midfield. 150 game milestone for Christian
Petrarca. Yeah, he's a gun, isn't he?
Yep.
And Tom McDonald is he's the query, isn't he? Because he's played a bit of VFL footy. He was terrific in the final series last year. Hasn't, because of injury, been able to get out much. But will he be selected after some time in the VFL? I suspect not. I think he'll hopefully get a little bit more match sim or match time. Because I still think he's important to their side going forward as that other forward option, because Ben Brown, as good as he is, Bailey Fritsch, outstanding as well. But I just think Tom McDonald gives them that different look.
Oh, he can take a grab, can't he? That's
Absolutely.
The thing. More aerial options. Cosy Pickett, brilliant once the ball gets on the ground, isn't he? So that's going to be a beauty as well.
What's he saying? On our monitor says Jackson set to be rested. Is that? I
haven't heard that.
No, I haven't. I'm not sure.
It's on our monitors. It's probably true, though.
It could be. But in all seriousness, if you're in a final, you're injured. If you're not playing, you're not rested. So rested, it's a strange terminology there. So, look, if it comes to pass he doesn't play, he's obviously got an issue that has precluded him, because Luke Jackson has to be playing.
Where is Luke Jackson playing next year?
Yeah, well, hasn't signed for Melbourne, so you can almost rule him out of staying at the Demons, it seems. I wouldn't say he's guaranteed for Fremantle, but he's more likely there, I'd say, than West Coast, who are just starting to make some murmurs about that issue, about whether they can fit him into their cap and whether he would suit. In fact, theoretically, it probably makes more sense for him to go to West Coast in terms of the needs. In terms of, but is he a ruckman? Is he a forward? We've asked this, we've debated this all year. That is the question that clubs have to answer, and Jackson has to prove what he is. He's a great player. He's a great player potentially, but we're still not sure exactly. He doesn't look a natural forward, and as a ruckman, he's a young man still learning his craft.
Yeah, well, he had that big 5 minutes in the last year's grand final, which pretty much won the game for Melbourne, didn't it? Kicking that 3 in a big hurry, and he was in the guts at the time. This is your game of the round, Geelong versus Collingwood.
Can we give our selections for Melbourne and Sydney, by the way?
Yes, Melbourne. Who do you think who will win? Melbourne, Sydney.
Tipping Melbourne at the MCG, but again, we're probably underplaying Sydney's run that they're on and what they can do. Only just the constant reminder is of Melbourne dismantling Brisbane. Melbourne playing in the last month some super footy, which makes you think, at their best, they're still probably on the same level as Geelong.
We haven't mentioned Buddy, and I take your tip, and I'm with you. I think Melbourne will win it. We haven't mentioned Buddy. Do you remember him rolling his ankle in that grand final? Just that little bit of footage, just rolled his ankle, and then he didn't have an impact in the game when he was probably the dominant forward in the competition at the time. And he's due, isn't he? He's due to have a big one at some point.
Could be his last chance. I mean, we think he'll play on with Sydney next year. There is a slight chance he'll retire, but he's playing good enough footy to go on. It's just a question of whether management can get that deal done. But you're right. He hasn't had a premiership at the Swans, and that's what he went there for a 10-year deal now. He's proved a lot of positivity for the Swans and the club and marketing, merchandising or whatever.
1,000th goal.
All that stuff.
Huge.
But hasn't got the flag yet. I'm sure that is... this is going to be... Well, it's his best chance because he's in the finals now. Next year, you don't know what's going to happen.
And as you rightly pointed out last week, you don't finish top 4 in this modern competition by accident, so they're very much a live option. We're both on Melbourne for that one. We're going through the finals. I've got a question. When we've gone through all 4, I've got a question for you. Geelong versus Collingwood. This is your final of the round. You like this?
Oh, you have to. I mean, Geelong and Collingwood, MCG, if it even goes halfway towards the drama of the Carlton-Collingwood match in the last round of the season, it'll be a beauty because you've got Collingwood beaten only by 13 points by Geelong, round 3. It seems a long time ago, and let's be honest, not too many people thought Collingwood at that stage were going to be a threat, which they have done, but they both had good long-term winning sequences against their name. Geelong, the minor premiers, the Cats... Not a great record in qualifying finals, though. And this is, we've talked about this year after year about Geelong dominant. They've done so much right during the home and away season. But they get to September and the little man in the head or whatever happens tends to be knocking.
little Corio Bay wobble. These are the two momentum sides, aren't they?
No doubt about that.
Big head of steam.
And they actually play such different styles. And Chris Scott said something interesting a few weeks ago, might have been back in round 3, to be honest, where he said, I'm not sure whether Collingwood can sustain the style they do, which is the surge, frantic style, very much attacking, gun and run, which is great to watch. Geelong, albeit they have opened up their game, they're still the marking, kicking game, which served them so well, they're just a slightly different mix to what Collingwood offers.
Very much so.
So it's going to be fascinating to see. And of course, and in many ways, it's the young buck with Collingwood up against the old boys from Geelong, and which team can go that extra yard in the finals.
When Geelong win, which they've done a lot this year, they always look bigger and more physical than other teams. They're big blokes, aren't they? It's a big team, Geelong. Big bodies, yeah.
When you see them beat even the Dockers in Perth, you go, that looks like men against boys.
Yeah. Rowan and all those guys are huge.
Well, and Jeremy Cameron comes back into the lineup. Of course, he missed the last part of the season with the hammy, or last game. Stanley and Duncan also expected to come back. So they're 3 big ins. They've managed players during the season. Selwood's had a breather. Dangerfield's had a few calf issues, but it just looks like they've timed everything pretty well. And I tell you what, Chris Scott, if he wins the flag here, a lot of people will be eating humble pie. If they fall over, gee whiz, this is going to be something to watch the Melbourne media get stuck into Geelong again for getting to the business part of the season and not getting the job done.
100 games for Brody Myercheck. He's been terrific in a slightly undermanned forward line, but Isaac Smith and Cameron in the forward line, those running, raking left foot kicks have made the difference to both of those two teams, haven't they? So both teams have a lot of ways to goal.
No doubt about that. And you can't but like the way Collingwood, even though Ginnivan would annoy opposition supporters, Jamie Elliott just finishes like no one this season.
Incredible Iceman.
Absolutely. Goal after siren against Essendon, kicked the winner against Carlton. They've got different avenues to goal. As you said, Myercheck, very good. Taylor Adams, question, does he find himself back in the side? He hasn't played for a while, but he's a really good mid. So, yeah, this game's got it all. And 2:35 our time, MCG. Hopefully the weather's okay and just a cracking game of footy.
Who do you like? What's your head saying? What's your heart saying?
You keep tipping against Collingwood and they keep proving you wrong. But I just think Geelong, they have the star power to win. And you think of Hawkins, you think of Cameron in attack. Stengel's been the recruit of the year in so many ways.
Yeah.
Their midfield with Selwood, with Dangerfield, Guthrie, with Atkins. Holmes has been a revelation in the last couple of years.
Stewart down back,
yeah. Not downplaying Collingwood by any means, but I just think this is Geelong's victory to have.
Yeah. And if there is a 3/4 time deficit and Geelong are up, Collingwood cannot be discounted because
they've backed themselves.
Yeah, they've been awesome, haven't they? So here's my question to you in the finals. Out of all the teams, the 8 teams that are in the final, Skeet, you're a numbers man, a stats man. You know, every now and then you're pretty ruthless. What's your heart saying? Which team would you like to see win the flag? Which team would you like? I know.
Who would I like to see out of the 8 teams?
Yeah.
Oh,
and why?
Without a question, Fremantle. I mean, I'm not a Dockers diehard by any means, but I'm a West Australian, and I like to see little fairy tales. And we've seen Melbourne last year. I was barracking for them big time, as I was for the Dogs in 2016. Geelong, I was there in 2007, I think it was, when they knocked over Port Adelaide. And I remember standing in the stands at 3/4 time, and they were leading Port by 70, 80 points. And I said to an old bloke, you could see he'd been following the Cats for years, I said, mate, enjoy this last 30 minutes. And he turned to me and goes, I'll tell you what, it's not done yet. We're still going to beat them. And so I said, no worries, okay. But that was the fear Geelong supporters had for all those years. So if you look at this season, I mean, the Sydney Swans
have lost 4 in 7 years, didn't they?
Yeah, they had just a bit like Collingwood back in the late 70s.
Going to a funeral.
It was just 92, 94, 95, 89. It was just, it was ugly. But yeah, so of the teams in there, Brisbane.
So your heart says Freo.
I'd love Fremantle to go the way. Yeah. I don't think they will. In fact, if they can win a final, that for me would be a terrific result from where they are. And not being a Collingwood fan by any means, but that would be the.
It's also a fairy tale, isn't it?
It's a fairy tale because finishing where they did last year, reminiscent of Tom Hafey, who took Collingwood in 1976. They were wooden spooners. In 1977, do you know where they ended up? They finished playing in the grand final against North Melbourne. Do you know what happened in that grand final?
It was a draw.
It was a draw. They came back the next week. North Melbourne, Barry Cable and co.
Malcolm Blight
got the result, but it was still an amazing performance. This would mirror that if they could get to a grand final. It'd be just extraordinary.
Great talking history with you. Something that Scully. He's a bit light on the history, isn't he?
Well, he's probably
he probably wasn't born.
But I wasn't born when President Kennedy and Elvis Presley. He's still allowed to know history.
Yeah, you do.
And Scully sort of looks at me with those slippers on as if I'm some dolt. Old fossil, he says.
Your heart says Freo. What does your head say?
Head says Geelong.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, just at the moment. But you know what I would like to see going over to the grand final? I'd love to see Geelong and Melbourne, or Melbourne and Collingwood, if that's possible. The two big clubs you love to see. I remember going to see Richmond play in a grand final, and if Collingwood had got through, they got beaten by the Giants, it would have been Richmond and Collingwood. The Giants got through. It was dud central.
It sure was. Yeah, still very disappointing. Let's have a quick debate, you and I, on some of the issues that have come through in the last few days in our beloved game. Liberatore out for the Bullies is a bigger blow to their chances on Saturday night than Fife being out for Fremantle.
Yeah, I'm not sure that you'll be able to argue on this front because it is a given that Libba's impact this year has been more significant than Nat Fife. If you're putting them side by side and they're both 100% fit and Fife's had a full season, then it's an interesting question, isn't it? Do you agree on that front?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and I'm with you on this. We did talk about this during the preview of the game. Fife been able to win without Nat Fife, their dual Brownlow medalist and their skipper and their spiritual leader. And Alex Pearce has done a great job. But Libba's grunt, if it's a bit wet on Saturday night, will be missed, and so will his aggression. Yeah, and his tackling and everything he brings to the contest, right? Because that's their go.
It's huge. It's massive for them. So we're supposed to disagree on this, but we can't because the bottom line is that the Fife factor isn't as pronounced as what it was, say, 3, 4, 5 years ago. So definitely Libba is the biggest out of the game thus far.
So let's see if we agree or disagree on this. The Brisbane, poor record in finals. They're taking a huge gamble with a debutant in a potential knockout final against Richmond. They've got to play him though, don't they?
They have to.
Yeah.
I mean, they just don't have any soldiers left. I mean, they've got, as I mentioned, the guys who are missing through suspension, who aren't defenders necessarily. Jared Lyons is a big out through injury, but Marcus Adams, now he's the defender, WA bloke, who has played some really good footy. He's been dealt a really big blow out for the year because of concussion. So it doesn't matter how far Brisbane gets, Marcus won't be playing football. So Darcy Wilmot, know nothing about him really, apart from the fact he's the first bloke to make a debut in a final outside of Victoria, which is a nice little tick. But it's going to be a scary moment for him because if you think of what's down in the forward 50 for Richmond, Lynch, Revolt, Dusty, Shea Bolton pushes forward, Cumberland is a goal kicker. How the hell did we tip Brisbane?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Sure, we get distracted. I think we're easily distracted. But
it's like
we're the same bloke.
We see a miniskirt going, and we go, oh, yeah. We've got to concentrate on the facts, Bo, instead of the optics.
Squirrel. Liquor Barons, independent liquor stores. I love them, Skeet. They're a great place to go and buy a little aperitif, a little something for the weekend. We've got something new this week. We've got to keep Scully's presence in the show going on the Shelter FootyCast. The Liquor Barons question of the week. Byron spoke to Will Schofield earlier in the week.
It's time for the Liquor Barons question of the week here on the Shelter FootyCast. Yes, that's right. Today we've got Byron from Sorrento Liquor Barons. That's right, where they always look after the locals and the best place to get your Shelter beers. G'day, Byron. How are you, mate? First things first, which Shelter beer is your favourite at the moment?
Would have to be that new that Trail Pale Ale, the limited edition one they've done.
Now,
it's a nice smashable West Coast style with that subtle resinous notes. It's got that sneaky little 5.7%. It's pretty good beer.
Yeah, well, we run the Shelter FootyCast. I haven't wrapped my lips around one of these trails yet, so we're going to have to get the boys to send a case over to us. But good shout there, Byron. Byron, come on now, Will. Don't you be throwing that around. What's your question for the Shelter FootyCast Liquor Barons question of the week?
Now, mate, I know you're an avid fantasy football player, so I was wondering, bye rounds, should we play or should we not play?
That is very good. buy rounds, for those who don't know, if you're playing AFL fantasy or if you're playing ultimate footy or whatever you're playing, sometimes leagues play them, sometimes don't. I think it should be scrapped, Byron. I've been notoriously absolutely shithouse in buys because you're going to do a lot of planning. What do you think? You know, I mean, you're a better fantasy player than me.
Oh, mate, I'm with you. Remove the buys. I reckon in all the years I've played buys, I think I might have scraped one, maybe two rounds, or 2 wins, sorry. But yeah, don't tell me any fantasy players looking to the buy rounds prior to their draft and thinking, well, that's the way that I'm going to draft. You end up trying to scramble on the fly. It might generate a little bit of trading, but with the way that most people are, they're too precious with their team that they don't end up trading. You end up just copping the losses.
You could extend it out to the actual AFL season. Do we need buy rounds in the AFL season? Do you like them or do you hate them?
Oh, I like my constant footy, mate. But in fantasy, I'm happy to sit out that little 3-week period where we've got the buy rounds.
Okay, very good. Byron from Sorrento Liquor Barons. Get down there if you're in the area. They'll look after you. Appreciate your time here on the Shelter FootyCast, mate, and good luck with fantasy next year.
Good on you, Scully.
Liquor Barons, the great independent bottle shops around the place, and there's a Byron from Sorrento.
Yes, the buy rounds with Byron, or Brian, as Scully just thought he called our great mate, so that'll stick, but good to see.
Just before we say goodbye, you heard my prediction earlier.
Which was?
In 9 months' time, Freo win, in 9 months' time,
there'll be a baby boom
in Coburn, Belia, Sarafmanel, Beaconsfield, Rockingham, all the way through Speward. There'll be babies born in every house. If what have you got a prediction for the weekend? Something that
well, I don't think it's going to be as much sex as what you think, Bowie. But they might have a couple of celebratory drinks. But I'm not sure a winning elimination final qualifies. Look, if they win the grand final, I say go for it. But yeah, a bit premature. That's right. My prediction on the weekend is that we will have one game, only one, decided by less than a goal.
Okay.
No idea which game that is. But
and you reckon the rest might be...
Yeah, a bit one-sided.
All right.
Unfortunately, you get excited.
Honestly, you just
killjoy.
You just crushed my spirit there.
Yeah, no, well...
I'm thinking babies and good times and adult relations, and you're thinking crushing
footy.
People's spirits.
Sorry.
You're thinking football.
No, well... And by
the pragmatist.
No, and by the way, big last round of the waffle, by the way, comes down to this. Peel Thunder, Swan Districts, whoever wins that on Sunday goes through to the final. So the waffle very much alive and well. And Matt Taberner, I think he'll play for Peel on Sunday. And of course, if Fremantle advances, then he becomes available for a semi-final. So there's still heaps of footy on. And can't wait for Saturday night. And who's the lady singing the national anthem?
Gemma Ricks.
If she does it, I'm sure she'll 60,000. Hopefully it's not raining. She'll nail it.
She will. Here's the socials at Shelter FootyCast, FootyCast at shelterbrewing.com.au, and go to the YouTube BackChat channel, Shelter FootyCast playlist, and all the links are there to be enjoyed by all. Skeet, have a great weekend. I'm pretty excited. I can tell you are too. Thank you.
Good on you. Well done, Bowie. Geek on Scully. It's Bowie.